Hi, everybody. I wanted to take a minute to walk you through some of the ins and outs of two of the dashboards, the Admin PLC Dashboard and also the PLC Data Dashboard. Promise I'm not trying to be wordy. I promise I'm just trying to keep the names simple and give you some tools that are going to help you keep track of all the materials that you need. What can slow our teams down, the opposite of effective leadership coaching, is giving our people all these resources and no way to organize them. Then I have to spend my time and energy trying to find the items instead of thinking about the items. So let's start with the Admin PLC Dashboard. First, you're going to notice that on this dashboard, there's an elementary tab, and then there's also a secondary tab. It's basically the same thing. It's basically the same format. When you get this dashboard, you are going to have an editable copy. So if you don't need the secondary one or you don't need the elementary, by all means, delete it. Don't have it. If you get this dashboard and you want to use it with multiple buildings in your school, you might even create an admin dashboard that is by building. And so you've got building tabs across the bottom. So let's say you're an assistant superintendent, curriculum director, and you want to keep track of all of the different things that your teams are doing with their building leadership team meetings or whatever it is. You can add it by building at the bottom, and you just simply right click and you're going to copy or duplicate the page, and then you're going to get a whole nother sheet. So a couple of things on the admin dashboard. The very first thing you're going to see, it says ILT in different months. ILT means instructional leadership team or building leadership team meetings. The purpose of this column would be for you as an admin or you and your coach to figure out what are topics that we think are relevant that we need to talk about with our PLC leaders this month in a monthly leadership team meeting? Now, a lot of the times the meeting can be just, how are things going? What are you hearing in the building? What are concerns you're having around PLC? So it can be very open and conversational, but this is also an intentional time where admin can actually grow and teach their leaders. It's great for a short video, an article, or even modeling a practice, like modeling a PLC conversation or modeling what to do about like tough PLC behaviors. So that's the intent behind building leadership team meetings and this column right here in column B. Staff meetings I included and leadership coaching here in the orangish yellow color, because what you really want to try to pay attention to is if you've got also a monthly whole staff meeting, how are these meetings supporting the work you're doing in PLC? Are you intentionally connecting them and making those connections for your teachers, or do they feel separate and disjointed? By having a staff meeting PD column on your dashboard, I think it just helps you to see like how all these pieces are supposed to connect and the power of making them connect. Included in this is our PLC kickoff slides, which you can get for free. Also, if you go to our website, you can find this in a blog post or in different downloads. So definitely explore those. And it gives you basically 4-meeting rollout that you can use in the beginning of August if you need to really kind of relaunch your PLCs. It takes you through everything behind the why behind PLCs, the research behind it, setting your norms, group dynamics. It's really good stuff. Leadership coaching is here in case you as a building leader or coach want to keep track of maybe different one-on-one conversations you have with leaders. You may not do that. You may want to do that. That's why it's there. Then there's a spot for linking your PLC agendas. So included is just a sample, the simplest PLC agenda I have created. I share with a lot of my teams. Also, you can find this for free on our website, but it's a place where you can have the like basic one, and then you can link each of your grades. Now, S is for, your special ed team. R would be for related arts. You don't have to use these little images here. That's just for you to see, like link kindergarten here, link first grade's rolling agenda here, link second grade here. This is going to be super helpful because if you are giving weekly feedback on PLC notes, which we highly, 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 highly encourage, this helps you have it all there. So you don't have to go into a file, where's first grades, where's third grades. It's just, they're all linked and compiled. You just click through the list and give your feedback. Trends from PLC notes, there's a space for that. And then also scheduled PD for grades. Now, there may not be scheduled PD for grades, or there may be. So this is kind of an up in the air. Column G is kind of a, if it is needed, if it is scheduled. We don't just schedule PD to schedule PD. So if there's a trend, let's say in 5th grade, that they need support with constructive response writing, and you determine this is a need, we're going to get this done in October, that's something that you might add there. So The scheduled PD could be coaches within your own building leading it, could be you leading it, it could be within your district. A couple more things I want to talk through with the admin, and then I'm going to go over to PLC Data Dashboard. So we've also got a link here for a curriculum warehouse. This is a sample that you can use for your team to keep track of all of their, how do I get this to pop up? To keep track of their pacing guides and their actual curriculum. Like, it's really hard to know, are they following? So you could see all the links to pacing guide documents could be on here. And you can find this for free on the website. There's a blog post on it, or it would already be linked in here for you, your own copy. But this is a place where you can go back and check, okay, are they sticking to their pacing like they have agreed to or not? Just have it linked. If there are assessment dates, and then if you have something called a district data roster, this would be linked there for you. So just trying to give you what I know are some of the go-to things you need to be thinking about that all go together for you to coach and encourage and strengthen your PLCs. And if you decide to use a PLC data dashboard where every PLC has one of these, you may decide to link this also. So now I'm going to switch and I'm going to talk about a PLC data dashboard. So teachers who are watching this video, this is really for you. This is for your PLC team. And I'm going to kind of quickly talk you through it and what the thinking is behind it. So again, you could see this is kind of set up for elementary, but we have a secondary one also. If you are an elementary PLC, let's say this is a second grade team. 1 week we might talk reading, 1 week we might talk writing, 1 week we might talk math, and then we just recycle through. If you're only talking reading and math, no problem, just delete that writing one, right? Only create tabs based on the conversations you're having. Now, I'm a big proponent of creating a very predictable calendar for yourself. So having it alternate reading, math. And that's just so that you can better anticipate when's the next time we're talking about reading? When's the next time we're talking about math? How long do we have between this conversation and the next time we're going to revisit the data? So having a set kind of predictable calendar helps. So a couple of things on the PLC data dashboard. This is a data dashboard, okay? But there's still some flexibility in here because I'm a big believer that to analyze data well, you got to be comfortable with the format that you're looking at the data in. And I'm talking about classroom data at this point. I'm not really talking about big statewide testing or formative district formative assessments you may do. So if there's a district assessment calendar, link it. If you have a district data roster, link it. If there are typical student groupings that you guys create and edit from, link it. If you create a toolkit of like resources that you realize this strategy works really well for this concern or this issue, link it. So we're going to use row 2 as a place to link all of the helpful information and resources that we want to look at. Then what you can see is if there are any common assessments you're going to give in these months, there's a place for you to list that, to remind yourselves. This is a reminder. Oftentimes at an elementary level, our assessments we're going to use are already made and created. We just need to remind ourselves, these are the assessments we're giving in this order. If you need to add rows, let's say that you start adding in September and you're like, I don't like the format of it. Add more rows, add 3 or 4 rows for September, and each row can be its own common assessment. You may decide as a PLC, you're only going to list summative end of unit assessments, or you may want to put formatives in there too. It's totally up to you. Column C is for your PLC data sheet. So however you're compiling the data as a team to then look at the results, that gets linked here. Pulled from that would be an overall PLC mastery percentage on that assessment, not the average, percentage of kids who mastered the skill. And I would really encourage you to look at this as an entire PLC, not just your own individual teacher mastery percentage, but a PLC percentage. Column E is if a lot of times we do a retake or we do a reteach and then we retake. So column E is there in case you do a second attempt or a third attempt, you can link that. And it's really helpful to see, okay, what is the first, after the first assessment, we give a % of mastery. After a second one, for the kids who needed a second attempt, what is now the % mastery? So you might want to pull that to be able to see that trending growth up. Then what I've got here is when you've got the assessment you've given, you've linked it and looked at it in your data, and then you look at trends. The whole point of looking at the data is to see if there are trends. Are there strengths that we're seeing from our students? And are there skills that are in need? Are there weaknesses that are popping up or attention areas? And so this is a place for you as a team to just capture that in a snapshot to know, okay, this is the concern we see from it and how we're going to move forward. And then in our H column under the toolkit, teacher actions and changes to instruction. That's literally the whole point of looking at data. So if it makes you uncomfortable to think about, wait a minute, why are we having to like change? Like, why do we have to make it? That is literally the whole point of looking at data, is what we're doing working, who is it working for, who's it not working for, what are we going to do differently for them? That is the game of education. That is what we are after. So can you add columns? Absolutely you can. This is meant to help you best gather the important information and then pull out the important information as you're analyzing data. So you'll notice I don't actually have a PLC agenda linked on here. This dashboard would be linked to your PLC agenda. So every single week, when it's time to analyze data, it may be click on the data dashboard. We've entered our data in our data sheet, and then we're capturing our thoughts about our data in this tool. Thank you so much for taking the time to learn a little bit about the dashboards. If you're interested in purchasing them, you can purchase them on the website, or if you are familiar with Teachers Be Teachers, you can get it there. If you are currently one of the teachers that I support within a district, don't buy this. I will just send it to you. If you are not in a district or in a building that I support already with coaching, this was made for you as a very useful tool and a cost-effective way to help you organize the material so that you can continue to grow as a leader. So thank you so much for taking the time to learn a bit about this, and I hope that it helps you. Have a good day.